What's going on, Balisong homies? Today marks a very important day. Today is the first ever upload to our new rebranded channel, my very own pride and joy. And I'm glad that you guys are here to join me because some of you have been waiting quite some time following this very story. Today we are checking out the long-awaited Atropos Smoke Bro. Alright, so all kidding aside, we rebranded from GPU Abuse, which was a gaming-oriented channel up until, maybe 6 months ago. Not so subtle switch there. We had to change the name. We had to, because I'm into Balisongs, right? Balisongs are my true passion. True passion. You guys know how much the Balisong community has personally changed my life. I would have never thought that I'd be starting my own knife company, buying my own CNC machine. I should be getting a call next week with a delivery date. That is super exciting, and I wanted to rebrand not only because it's going to be my company and whatnot, but also so you guys could follow my journey to becoming a knife maker. Super excited. It's overwhelming how much support I've been getting, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, today we're just going to do a knife review. So some of you know already, I don't really need to go too deep into it, but I ordered this Atropos Smoke Bro on April 6th, I think it was, and it just arrived at my doorstep today, which is the 23rd. A little bit of a long wait, not gonna lie. Towards the end, I kind of figured that I was just not gonna get it, and that I should probably cut my losses, but no, it arrived today. So for everyone else who might be waiting on a knife from Atropos, hang in there, it's probably coming. Maybe. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in on this review here. I'm going to try a different angle, so just bear with me. I have manual focus lenses because, Alright, so I thought that this angle might be a little fun to try, so we're going to give it a shot. Hopefully it works out. Let me know what you think. You don't really get the cool lighting experience like you normally get, but we're trying something new. Alright, so here is the box for you guys. I always really liked Atropos's logo there. Pretty cool. And then on the side it says Tools and Customize. And the bottom says CCCP. I don't know what that means. Doesn't have any kind of barcode or UPC whatsoever. But we open this bad boy up like that, and I'm gonna throw this to the side real quick. Oh my god. Okay, so you are greeted with your knife, obviously. We'll get to that in a second. But you also have a set of Torx drivers. I think one's a T8 and one's a T10, I think. I already took the liberty of removing the latch because, if you're flipping, latches aren't all that fun. You got your Easter grass. This is pretty common with Atropos. They give you purple Easter grass for some reason. And a magnet. Not a sticker. So, that's the unboxing experience. And this is the knife. I totally forgot to pull up the specs, so, I don't know when he was naming this. I don't think he really knew what he is saying. Smoke Bro really makes it sound like it's like a stoner thing, but I don't think it is. So just to go over some of the specs, the blade steel is D2. Now I know that there's some controversies going out there that are saying that it might not be D2, but it says D2 on the blade. I can't say it is or it isn't. From what I see, it is. Alright, so D2 for the blade. Titanium liners, because this is a sandwich style construction knife. Micarta, I I don't know, Russian micarta overlays, which is that. Stainless steel bushings, titanium spacers. I've heard of some people getting bronze spacers though, so I don't know. I think you have to special request that though. The blade length is 4.25 inches, blade thickness is 0.15, and the full length is 9.64. Has a titanium latch that I totally removed because who needs that? I don't need that in my life. And the weight is 4.6 ounces, which is actually pretty popular for, you know, Balisongs. That's relatively standard. The only other Atropos knife that I've ever flipped was the Demon, and I have a video on that already on this channel if you want to check it out. Just to go over some of the things that I love, alright? I love the handle gap, I really do. I think that looks really cool, especially with this blade style. Now, I think their naming system goes like this. Smoke is what the blade is, bro is what the handle is. I really like the bevel grind. Atropos always does really good with that kind of stuff. It's just really well done. They always have like these unique blade styles. It has a rounded spine, which is nice so it doesn't like pinch you nearly as easy. It says that it's really good for flipping an EDC. I can especially vouch for the EDC part. If it is D2, I mean you could literally go down and chop bamboo or, you know, use this in place of your machete, Indiana Jones or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Now, I posted this on Reddit, and someone asked if it was blade heavy, and I would say yes. You really only feel it when you're flipping it. So if I was to find a balancing point, it'd be about right there, right? Which seems pretty standard. I think a lot of knives actually are right about here instead of up here. Now, let's get to, which I can see why someone would think that this was ugly, because it's very strange looking, right? The handle styles are very comfortable, but they're thick. They're thick and blocky, and it reminds me a lot of a hammer modded replicant. They feel a lot like this. I'm not saying they look like it, but they feel like it. They're very blocky, and you'll notice that if you've flipped Balisongs for a while and you pick this up, you'll definitely notice some awkward changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's unusual. Especially if you're used to flipping knives like made by Hom or made by BRS or Squid. You'll definitely feel like, huh, that's kind of strange. And it's really weird because this is T10 and it's on both sides, which, you know, OSP does that too. I like knives that have, you know, torques on one side and then just ball head on the other. But this is T10, this is T10, this is like T6, and this is like T8, I think. 3 different sizes. I think that's a little unusual, but whatever, you know. When I'm taking apart a knife, I don't want to deal with a bunch of different screw variations, but that's whatever, right? One thing you will notice right off the bat when you buy this, mind you, this does run off of bushings. So you got that. You can crank down the pivots as much as you want, but you're still going to get that. When I first got it, I was like, huh, does this run off of washers? Because it's very unusual to have a bushing system that, you know, has a decent amount of play to it. And not only that, has tap. Like, for instance, the Squid Industries Kraken, or Kraken, I don't know, which I've done a review for that a couple times on my channel because I've had a bunch of different variations. I think I reviewed that 3 times, but each was a different model. It's kind of unusual for Balisongs to have tap like that with bushings. I've seen some play, like the Squid Industries Kraken, that has a decent amount of play, but it doesn't have tap because the way they developed it, they have like a, if you look at one, it's like thicker in the middle, like the cutout is thicker in the middle and allows for the blade to move back and forth without hitting the edges. Well, this one clearly has oversized bushings, which isn't really a problem. Keep in mind, this thing's only $120. It's kind of a bummer. You could definitely fix this because it has oversized bushings which are tunable. I can make a video on tuning if you guys really want me to, but tuning is basically where you sand down the bushings with a really fine grit, and it's a pain in the ass, but you can make it so any Balisong doesn't have tap as long as they're oversized bushings. If it's undersized, your handles would stick, right? They wouldn't swing as freely as they do. If you tighten down the pivots and it sticks, you have undersized bushings, usually. With all that being said, geez, that was a long explanation for a not so rewarding ending. I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble this because there's actually some important things under the hood that I would like to get off my chest. What's funny is the two drivers that they supplied, I'll show you. One does fit up here, right? One fits up there, one fits right there, but none of them fit here. It's like, what the hell? Why do you even have this? So, a lot of times to disassemble my knives, I use an iFixit toolkit. Not saying they're the best, because they're absolutely not. I definitely suggest these Weehaws over them. I hope that's the way you pronounce it. I especially like using the iFixit toolkit because it has this little, you know, thing. When I first disassembled this, it definitely had some sort of thread locker on it. I don't know what kind, but it definitely had something. It was a big old pain in the ass to get off. The threads didn't look like it was thread locked, but there's clearly some kind of funny business going on. See if I can even get this sucker out. One side unscrews easier than the other. I'm having a hard time, especially because I cut my finger like really good. Oh, that's kind of cool. I cut my finger really good, man. I post pictures on Instagram, and if you guys are wondering about the progress of the Balisong I'm making, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, also to my Instagram. Everything has changed to Patient Zero Balisong. So you can find me. Link should be in the description. But yeah, it was a pain in the ass disassembling this for the first time. It seemed like everything was thread locked. One thing that you're not going to be able to see this time around, but when I first disassembled it, it was so messy. It was like it was leaking sawdust or dandruff or something. And it was very like gritty feeling. No matter where you're at, it felt really gritty. Which is weird, man. But then again, for $20, maybe he just makes them, doesn't clean them off, and just sends them. You know what I mean? Maybe that saves on the cost. I'm up to par with a lot of these like techniques. Just because I've been studying. Even when my name was still GPU Abuse, I was studying Balisong, how to make knives, all that stuff for the longest time. So, you know, the residue from sanding, machining, you know, these titanium, it was just really gritty. That's neither here nor there because you're not going to be able to see it because I already cleaned it up. But there's definitely some important things I want to get off my chest here. It's really not all that difficult to get this shit off, but kinda. Alright, so this is a titanium liner. When I first took it off, it just feels like aluminum. But it has to be titanium because that's what they said. It's like almost plasticky. And aluminum's kind of like that too, but I think it's just like powder coated titanium or something. I want you guys to kind of use your imagination here. I want you to pretend that this is still fully assembled, right? Pretend that it's still fully assembled. When you're opening and closing your Balisong, this is one of the first things that I noticed right off the bat. Alright, so when it's closing, look what it's doing. One of these days I'll get the focus right, don't worry. When it's closing, check out what it's doing. See that spacer? That blade is straight up hitting that spacer. You can already see where the tip has hit the spacer too many times, right? I mean, it's going to scrape the side, we already knew that. But for it to actually hit that spacer, in my opinion, no matter what price the Balisong is, that's unacceptable. I might as well have left the focus there because I want to show you guys something else. So, yeah, I think that is one of the worst things about this knife. You're going to be tipping your Balisong without even dropping it on the tip. Here's the washers, by the way. The washers and the bushing, I'll try to show you. Since we have it disassembled, I might as well. Washer, tiny little thing. And then bushing, also pretty tiny. It's not a floating system, so, you know, floating would be, when anyone mentions a floating system, it means that the washer goes around the bushing, not the pivot. So that's just FYI. Now, one of the other things that I find very, very weird about this knife, so the spacer, pretty cool, right? It has a little cylinder here, right? A little tiny cylinder about the width of a mechanical pencil tip, right? Well, one of the main gripes that I have is, sure, it's a titanium spacer. Okay, that's fine. Durable stuff. Say something did happen to that little tip and it fell off, your spacer would just free flow everywhere. Up, down, all around. When you're flipping it, it would just go everywhere. The spacer is stabilized with that tiny, tiny hole right there. That's what keeps your spacer straight. So if anything ever happened to that, your spacer theoretically could move around anywhere. And maybe that's the reason why they decided to do a coat like this. But I also think that that's not a really good idea, you know what I'm saying? And I know it probably sounds like I'm talking a lot of smack, but I promise you guys, this is a nice Balisong for the price. It's a lot different than the Demon, believe it or not, and I almost prefer it over the Demon. Almost. Let's just get this bad boy back together. It's kind of a pain in the biscuit because you gotta line up that little hole, but that's okay. Did you see me trying to put that on backwards? Jesus. How long have I been doing this? You guys, if you watch my channel, you know exactly what I'm gonna do. I twist it to the left until I hear it go click. Just like that. And that tells me that I'm ready to screw it in. That means that you're not going to cross thread it, right? And I always give it a little bit of a squeeze just so the screw actually goes in there. It's kind of hard to screw in because I fucked my finger up. So that's cool. I chopped it pretty good. Follow me on Instagram and you'll be able to see. If you guys are really, really into some nasty stuff, check out my Max Ace Patrol video. Woo! I cut my finger real good in that one. Now, as far as the pin system, I like this because, you know, it's easier to replace a pin like that than one that's in the blade. Because usually the ones that are in the blade are press fit. I'm gonna flip you guys up and show you a little bit of the flipping side of things. So hopefully you guys can hear me all right. The disassembly process is kind of strange. It's almost like he doesn't want you to take it apart. With that being said, in every one of my videos, I always use KPL prior to starting the video. It's a really, really good lube company. Ooh, I'm just gonna do it nasty, sloppy this time around. Use it plentiful, right? Really, just a drop will do ya, but whatever. Make sure the handles are... Alright. So one of the weird things about this knife is the balance. Kind of like what I mentioned before. You feel it more when you're flipping it. So I've gotten the time to kind of get used to it. I notice whenever I do aerials, the knife wants to go this way instead of this way. I don't know if I can do well, I think I'm too used to it now, but you gotta do a really good wrist flick. If you just go up with it, it tends to go away from you. And when I tilt it, it just feels like the knife always wants to fall over like that, right? Sometimes even when I'm fanning, it sticks. Look at that. It's not the handle sticking, it's the balance, like it's balancing. See? But look, the handles are swinging freely. So it's kind of weird. You drop it sometimes all randomly like. But one thing I can say is that it hugs the finger really well. So for like chaplains, I mean, that's a vertical chaplain right there. So that's kind of fun. Woo! Do that for a couple decades. And then it does 0 G's pretty good too. My hands are pretty sticky right now. Pretty. So it's pretty. Yeah, it sticks. Not sticks. The balance makes it like hug your finger. It does rollovers pretty well. Sound test right here. Doesn't really have too much of a sound. That's what you're dealing with. Back to basics. So yeah, it feels like it's blade heavy. Look at that. It kind of just sticks in place, you know what I'm saying? So if you're familiar to flipping, you'll notice a difference right off the bat. You'll be like, oh, that's weird. But if this is your first real Balisong, I would say that you probably won't notice anything because you don't have any previous experience. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's bad flipper, I'm saying it's just different. I believe that if you start off, if this is your first Balisong, and say a few months from now, you know, you got used to flipping it. Not saying it takes a month to get used to it, but you know, you've been flipping for a couple months and you buy a new Balisong, I almost think your flipping will be improved because of how awkward this one is. So you'll know all the awkward quirks, you know what I'm saying? It feels slow at first, but the more you do, the faster it gets. So it starts off slow, it's kind of like a drag racer, right? So from the get-go, kind of slow, but then all of a sudden it goes out of control and it tries to cut you. See, it's so weird because it just it decides not to carry the momentum good anymore. But again, that's probably just because I'm not used to it. My band-aid's falling off. Oh man, I knew I wasn't landing that combo. I was doing too good. So, now that I'm probably incredibly out of focus. Oh yeah, I forgot. I was leaning like this when I started the video. Sup. I want to call you guys Balisong homies. Is that cool? Because we're homies, and you probably like Balisongs, and I can lean, talk to you like this, like we're buddies, like we're about to kiss. So yeah, that's my overall impressions. I don't want to make this video super long, but that's my overall stupid hair impressions with the smoke bra. What up? Yeah, I recommend it for 120 bucks, and you'll learn how to, you know, flip a awkward knife. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of fun. For 120 bucks, that's not bad. Especially if it's gonna be your first knife. Now, I think next we're probably gonna review some of the sharpening systems that I have. This one is by Viper Sharp. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I just don't have a knife that's dull yet, so I don't know what to tell you there. And then maybe we'll go to the whetstones. Whetstone, I only have one. I used to know somebody whose last name was Whetstone. Either way, I really appreciate you guys. All the support that I've been getting lately is crazy out of this world, and it means literally everything to me. It just goes to show when you're super passionate about what you're doing, people tend to follow. And I'm glad that you guys can see how passionate I am with, you know, the Balisong community. Yeah, I've been in some really dark places, and the Balisong community has literally changed my life for the better. So yeah, I'm really excited to share my journey to becoming a knife maker with you guys. If you want to keep tabs on me, Instagram, I'll be posting a lot of updates on Instagram, but the most important part is just by subscribing to this channel. That's a fantastic way to show your support, and it's free. It's absolutely free. Eventually, I mean, I've been getting a lot of subscribers, so we'll do a giveaway one of these times or something fun. We'll do something fun. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, hope to see you next time. Adios.